Hey everyone, it's Bree, the third year OT student from KU Medical Center. So today we are going to be getting exercise when we put away our groceries. And the important thing about putting away our groceries and making sure that we are getting some good exercise from it is that it's pretty much something that you do almost whether it's every week or sometimes every month. And so it's a great opportunity to get exercise when it's starting to get cold out, but also have something that you feel accomplished about doing and being able to contribute to kind of the whole entire home environment. And so we're going to get started with just doing some simple deep breathing. We're going to do some deep breathing, and then we're also going to do some stretching so that way we can get our muscles ready for putting away the groceries. So let's take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. On this last one, really try to fill up your chest and your belly with air. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're also just going to do some neck stretching so that way our muscles are ready to go when we're having to lift items and move things around. So we're going to do some back neck stretching. So we're going to tilt our chin to our chest. So we do it slow. And then look up. Now, only go as far as you feel comfortable with. If you start to feel pain, stop at that point and just keep the stretch right there before you start to feel pain. Go back down to your chest. Look back up. We'll do one more. Look down, chin to chest. And then look back up. Now we're going to bring our right ear to our shoulders. We're going to get that stretch in our side and neck right there. Go only to where you feel comfortable. Go back to the left. Make sure you're breathing through it. Back to the right. Back to the left. To the right. And to the left. Now we're going to make sure that we have those muscles stretched out for turning our head, because when we're putting away groceries, we have to be able to turn our head and look at things. So we're going to turn to the right like we're shaking our head no. Turn to the left. To the right. To the left. One more each side, to the right, and then to the left. Now we're just going to do some shoulder shrugging, so that way we can get those muscles warmed up for putting stuff away. We're just going to go forward and lift our shoulders up. We're going to bring them down. Lift them up and bring them down. Lift them up and bring them down. If it helps to somewhat support your affected arm to kind of get that shoulder up, you can use your other arm to kind of push up your shoulder like that. Push up your arm to help get your shoulder up. Then we're just going to do some rolling. So again, if it helps to support your arm like this from underneath, and then just kind of roll your shoulders back. Get those muscles nice and warmed up so that way we're not pulling anything. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the first part of how you can get exercise when putting away your groceries is as soon as the groceries come in through the door. If it's that you've just come back from the grocery store or a caregiver, family member has come back with their groceries, if you want to be able to get that exercise and also just accomplish something for the day and have that sense of purpose to be able to contribute to your household, always get great exercise just from simply sorting out the groceries from the bags. And that's also a great cognitive activity because it kind of gives you that challenge of being like, okay, what foods need to go in the fridge and what foods need to go in the cabinets, or even the foods that need to go in the freezer. And so you get great exercise by simply, if you are going to use your unaffected side, just kind of lifting up the bag like that. So doing those shoulder flexion motions like that. So lifting up the bag, or even getting exercise by like bending your elbow. So doing that, setting it. So I'm gonna make this pile the pile for stuff that goes into the cabinets, and this will be the pile for stuff that goes into the fridge. And if you want to give your affected side an exercise, you can always try to just lift it. And if you have a little bit of tone in your hand, then maybe even just kind of trying to just lift it like that, just give it those types of movements. You don't have to try to lift anything up if it's hard to move it, but just trying to lift it up and reach inside that bag. Don't grab anything, just trying to lift it and reach inside that bag to give those motions of kind of lifting and then turning your core, so that rotation. But if you still want to give your affected side some exercise, if it can't grab anything, always make sure that you're putting that weight bearing on your arm when you're seated. So you can sit like this and you can still grab from the other side. So I'm grabbing my cans of tuna and I'm going to lift those up, so that lifting and then that turning. So you're turning, lifting, grabbing my cans of beans, grabbing and this is yogurt, so I'm going to put it in my fridge or freezer area. And I always suggest that just grab things one at a time instead of trying to grab two things, so that way everyone is safe. And then when it comes to, you can always get a good exercise too by, if you need to kind of lift the bag to move it closer to you. If the bag has handles, that's a little bit more weight, so it's going to give you more exercise to lift the bag. And then grabbing the noodles, so those cardboard items, that's going in the cabinets or pantry. So more of those is kind of lifting, turning, setting down. And then if you want to give, while you're weight bearing on your affected arm, if you want to give it that exercise, you can even just try to challenge your arm and your hand to just move that empty bag. So try to grab that empty bag and move it. You can move it to your lap, you can then move it back onto the table, and just the whole time supporting your arm. And the same is for your other food items. So I'm going to put my weight bearing back on my affected arm. This is bread, so I'm going to set it in my cabinet pantry area. Grabbing my produce, so my bananas. I'm just going to put them in the cabinet pantry section. And then finally, one by one, I'm going to put my lemons right next to my fridge food. So that gets into that kind of that grasping right there. And I'm using my unaffected arm. And then if you do actually happen to drop some of your groceries on the ground, you can even get a greater exercise by working your core to kind of bend down, work on those balance skills to be able to reach your ingredients. And then if something like rolled away somewhere, or if there's a mess from something dropping, always just like making sure that you ask someone for help instead of trying to clean it up yourself if you feel like it is unsafe. the next step that we have to take is transporting these grocery items to the kitchen so we can put them away. And in this process, what I will suggest, that way everyone is safe and everyone's maximizing their energy to be able to help with groceries, is that whether you're in a wheelchair or if you're walking, at the end, when we are putting away our groceries, we are going to do them seated. So if you're already in your wheelchair, you're going to put away your groceries seated. And then if you are going to walk to move your groceries into the kitchen, we're going to end up putting away the groceries while seated. So have a chair in the kitchen if you aren't already in a wheelchair, and we are going to, if you're in your wheelchair and you're trying to get them into the kitchen, you can get that exercise of just lifting it up like this and putting it in your lap and then moving over to the kitchen. If you have multiple bags, then that's even more exercise to carry bags into the kitchen. And then if you are walking, depending on your mobility device, if you have a mobility device that has a basket, then you can put one bag each into the basket, and that's multiple trips that you can take if there's more than one bag, and that gives you that exercise for your body, that endurance. And then at the end, once we've moved all of our groceries into the kitchen, we're going to have a seat and we're going to put them away. And then the same for if you want to try to put the bag on your arm like a purse. Have a caregiver nearby, so that way if you do need help, if there's something too heavy and you don't feel confident or safe about it, they can just carry the bag in there. But if you feel safe, you need to use a bag that's light, so that's going to mean multiple trips but more exercise for you. And then carry the bag into the kitchen like this, and then once you can set it down on the ground or on the counter, and then take a seat so we can put the groceries away. First exercise that you can always get is opening your fridge. And so you're going to get that kind of pulling back motion. So you can do it with your unaffected arm, just open the fridge like that. Or you can do it with try it with your affected arm. It's a little, if your hand is a little tight or if there's restricted movement in it, then even just trying to lift your arm up and just touch the fridge like that, just get those movements in. Even doing what we always do when we're seated is doing that weight bearing. So putting, so you can't really see from this arm, but say if this was your affected arm, then putting that weight on it while you open it with your unaffected arm. So I'm going to open it with my unaffected arm and weight bear on my left arm. So I'm going to put weight on my affected side, and then my right arm, I'm going to open it. So I have down here, I have my groceries. So if I have my fridge groceries in my lap, you can put them on your counter, work on that reaching over, or you can leave them on the ground. Either way, if it's in your lap, you're still getting that movement of lifting your arm up over there, even some trunk flexion, and then that reaching down. So a lot of core and upper body movement wherever you put your bag. And then I'm actually gonna leave it down here. So what I'm doing is that, you might have to kind of position yourself if you're in your chair. So position yourself so that way the fridge doesn't constantly keep closing on you. But I'm going to move my chair forward, and I'm gonna grab my ingredients, and I am going to reach forward, and I'm going to put my lemons away, which I have in my fruit drawer. So I'm going to do those pulling motions. So I'm going to lift up my fruit, and then I'm going to open the drawer. So you're getting that movement again of pulling something open. And I'm going to keep doing that. So it might help actually to open your drawer first to do it so we don't have a lemon in your hand. So I'm putting my lemons away. I'm bending over, lifting, putting them away, bending over, lifting, putting them away. And I have one more lemon left. So you're getting a lot of that repetition. And then the last thing that I have for me is my yogurt. So I'm doing this all with my unaffected arm, and I'm weight bearing on my other arm while I'm doing this. And I'm just gonna lift up my yogurt and put it in there. Now, if you'd like, if you want to be able to exercise your arm, your affected arm, you can always reach forward and you can kind of just like organize things. You can push things around in your fridge just so that way you're giving this arm some of that exercise to be able to line things up. If some things kind of are a little pushed around everywhere, even just kind of like scooting them back like that. So when it comes to putting away your pantry, cabinet groceries, again, we are doing it seated only, and whatever your preference is, if you are someone who sets the groceries on the ground, or if you set them on the counter, if you set them on the ground, you get great exercise of still reaching down to grab things, and then exercising your core to be able to reach, so working on that balance. Or if you walked in and you've set them on the counter, so you can get that lifting and still kind of that rotating in your core. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do it from, I'm going to do one bag from the ground and then leave one bag up here to show you how to do both of them. So say that I'm going to grab one of the items out of the bag, and I'm just going to set them on the counter. And then, so I have my bananas, and then I'm reaching down, and I'm using my unaffected arm. I should have probably clarified that. So I'm using my unaffected arm, and I'm going to set my bread up here. And then if I'm going to give my affected arm some exercise, put that weight bearing in there. So we're going to do that weight bearing. So I would have I could grab this bag and lift it up and put it on the counter, or just kind of crumple it up, so get that those hand movements in there, kind of crumpling up the bag. If you want to try it with your affected side, depending on how tight it is, you can do that as well, just trying to crumple up the bag and give it that exercise. Use your other hand to support it. But if you have tightness, I would not recommend that you try to kind of squeeze up this bag, and that you just still try to focus on putting that weight bearing through your arm like that. So I'm going to put that bag right there, and then if I am taking out grocery items from the counter, then it's just the same, kind of doing that bending forward, reaching up, setting it down. So a lot of just those same movements of lifting, kind of pulling back. So I'm grabbing my tuna, I'm stacking it, another can. So we're doing those movements of kind of flipping things up and down. And I'm getting a good workout from this. And then stacking the last box of linguine. And then I just dropped my bag, so I'm gonna bend down and pick it up, give my core some exercise, and then squeeze the bag together. If I want to give it to my other hand, try that. And then set them right there. And then your groceries are laid out in the area that they need to be laid out. So like my cabinets where I put my food away are in the top shelf. So I could even try to, when I'm seated, I could even try to open up just those shelves and try to put some stuff away that I can reach. So if it is trying to lift up the container of the box of pasta, so putting that up there. So still getting that good reaching in there, and then ultimately stuff that is super high up there and you can't reach it from a seated position, just ask a caregiver or tell them like, hey, I tried to put much stuff away, the rest of the stuff I couldn't reach. Well, I really hope that everyone felt like that they got some great exercise from putting away those groceries. There are a couple steps to putting away groceries where you can get some really great exercise, as we saw, from just being able to sort the groceries into piles on the table, so that way you could organize them and put them in bags when taking them to the kitchen, and then the last step of putting your groceries away in the areas that they usually are stored. And so because of that, because we got some exercise while seated, we are going to do some final deep breaths for a cool down. So we're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. In through our nose and out through our mouth. In through our nose and out through our mouth. And we're just going to do some neck stretches. We're going to go to our right, go to our left, go to our right, go to our left. Now we're going to bring our chin to our chest. We're going to look up, chin to chest. Look up. And we're going to do some of these shoulder rolls. So bring your shoulders up to your ears and then try to pull them back. Like there's someone who's just pinched you and you're like, ah, like that. And so we're going to do it slow. So pull your shoulders up and then pull them back. Let's do a couple more. Just to get those muscles pulled down after doing all of those movements of lifting, of turning, a lot of movement that we're able to do when putting away groceries.